The Ice Titan. One of the strongest bosses in all of Ark, but what would happen if you grab them, shrink them down a bit, put them on a different map and make them spawn kinda, I don't know, everywhere? You get a video that has been sitting in my head for some time now. My name is Ark. If you enjoyed this video at any point, consider to like, subscribe and let's jump into it. Spawning in, I wasted little to no time since the dinos would take a bit to show up. I gathered some fiber and gave this tree a small concussion, but on the shores I already took a glimpse at my main problems. So I headed towards these small islands, one of the safest places in this entire run. Once there I managed to craft a stone pickaxe as well as my chibi to join me in this adventure. The thing is, they give me a good amount of XP, and so I crafted and wasted a bunch of them, so I could reach the right level for a chair and raft. The chair becomes very relevant later on, trust me. And don't worry, I can hear you all in the comments. Ark, where the hell have you been? Your last big Ark video came out like 8 months ago. My food is already cold. How am I supposed to enjoy this now, you Listen, I'm sorry, okay? I was busy with life. With my super fun full-time job, school, which I definitely don't fail as of now and doesn't give me brain-scrambling depression. And also Monster Hunter Wilds dropped, so yeah. Anyway, as the night passed in-game, I could enter the water without freezing. Mainly to get to this coast right here because of the washed-up turtles and dolphins, which would provide me with height I need for the raft. And since I don't have infinite stamina, this is where the chair becomes relevant. I could place it underwater to regain stamina. Getting to the actual dead bodies was the difficult part since the Titans were camping them. Why do you have to be right there? Like, I see the little black dots there, and that's where I need to go. Because you have to be right there. I'm not even testing that. I know these things have a really big aggro range. I even made a bow to try and lure them away, only to give up on that. Dude, turn around, go somewhere else, man. Bro, leave. You too!
It's showtime!
Oh shit, oh damn. I was really trying to get to even one, which I did, but it wasn't enough. And you might think to yourself, why don't you just lure them into the water and let them drown? Well, we go back to that one later, okay? I stayed at this place for a little while, until I managed to piss some of them off, so I could lure them away from the two bodies. Come on, you idiots, get over here. These two provided me with enough height for the raft. Now I only needed wood. Oh my god, I got enough. Fuck it, I got the height. I got the height that I wanted. I can die now, I don't give a shit. But considering the time of day and the drop in temperature, I knew I couldn't reach my island in time, and as my health dropped like I was fighting arch-tempered Valazark, I tried my best to somehow stay alive on this tiny pile of rubble in the ocean. So I respawned as close as I could and tried to reach my bag under such harsh conditions. I got my stuff back, however... After getting my stuff for the third time, I approached these shores here and gathered enough resources to finally make a raft. Now this thing would be a game changer, since nothing aggroes on me when I'm swimming with the raft. The next step was to get an upgrade station as quick as possible, but more height was required for that, so I headed to the white cliff biome, since it also had some bodies I could catch. But being a certified dumbass, I literally tried to kill one of these guys with a simple bow and arrows. But after way too much tomfoolery, I managed to get to a dolphin and got enough height for the upgrade station. If you don't know how this works, you can upgrade your equipment with it, but it requires the resources you would need to craft the item, but the amount that is needed always increases. So after gathering a bunch of wood, fiber and stone, I upgraded my bow as well as my harvesting tools. With a new bow I now had the chance to kill these titans easier, by luring them into the water, shooting them and swimming away. I managed to kill my first one, and used this height to make a bed, as well as a full set of ghillie, which hopefully makes it easier to sneak past everything. Next up, I wanted to get some crystal so I could make an awesome spyglass. Problem is, I had no idea where to find said crystal besides the Aberration underground section, and its entrance was more guarded than the ringed city. So instead I sneaked around the cliffs and mountains only to run away when I couldn't find anything, so I had to look up a resource map. I know, shame on me. And it turns out there was some crystal rather close to my small island. So I went back and grabbed some of that white stuff. Made the awesome spyglass as well as a forge. Now the spyglass is really good because it not only shows me an outline as well as the level of a creature, but also their stats and what point went into each stat, their HP, torpor and taming food. Lastly, I made a smithy and metal tools. I got some hide from my neighborhood titans to make a sickle, since I knew I would need stone arrows to deal with these giants and arrows need fiber. And so does my bow when I upgraded it to Ascended. Also, I knew this mountain ridge right here in the redwoods had some monumental mineral mounds, so I looked for a decently safe place to go on land. Only to struggle to get up this tiny hill, because if it's slightly too steep, my character has an aneurysm and can't go up anymore. Regardless, I managed to get up to the metal peaks and tried to gather as much as I could before parachuting my way down to safety. just to go back shortly after for some obsidian and just that bit more metal. Back at my raft, I made a scissor from the obsidian and gave myself that fresh cut, as you youngsters would say. I went back to the Aberration cave entrance once again and actually made it past the Titans. Now I had a pretty long way down ahead of me, and the only reason why I wanted to go down here was for green gems so I could make climbing picks and blue gems for a glide suit. I figured these two would be pretty useful on a map that is so vertical. I quickly found the green gems with ease. Meanwhile, the blue gems were a bit more rare, I'd say. I had no idea where they were. But of course, I had to run into my arch nemesis, gravity. Yep, just like in Elden Ring and Dark Souls, I died from fall damage. So now I had to run back down and gobble down some mushrooms to keep me from starving and dehydrating. But I reached my stuff in the end. I continued my search for the gems until I had enough and looked up a guide. Turns out they were pretty well hid. Small cliff that I could only reach by building a small ladder tower next to this mushroom. So I could jump onto the cliff, broke a rock and grabbed all the blue gems. Then I just had to play the hold down W button simulator once again, and for those who asked me to upload my unedited footage, here is my response. But back out of the caverns I made it and sailed towards this yellow drop, which had a nice chainsaw inside. But I needed some oil to make gasoline to use it. Luckily, Valgero has enough oil in this ocean to give every American wet dreams. And if you know me, you know that I love chainsaws. Not just an arc for the amount of wood they gather, but also because of Doom Eternal and Chainsaw Man. The next day I found a Mastercraft Longneck blueprint I'll definitely use at one point. Crafted a crossbow, which I also upgraded to Ascendant level, and this thing had some insane firepower. Plus I could use it underwater, where the Titans AI kinda broke. What the hell? Dude got folded like a goddamn omelet. After dealing with some of them, I spent up to 10 minutes holding down E to gather narco berries to make some narcotic, and used the chainsaw to harvest some nice amounts of hide and keratin from the dead turtles. Once I reached the right level, I made that promised glide suit and the climbing picks, which I also upgraded, and tried to climb this cliff. Okay, that just happened. That indeed just happened. What the fuck just happened? Regardless of what just happened, I still wanted to get up the white cliffs, and from there I did some climbing and gliding action until I reached this area right here. Since you might have asked yourself, how are you supposed to get element for the Titans? And to that I say, simple: spawners. I used that mod to make the element crystal spawn from the Genesis 2 space biome, primarily within the white cliffs, because it was the most Titan infected place on the map. So anyway, I started hitting these crystals and I got a small amount of element from them, which would allow me to tame a low level one. After I spent a bit of time clearing my island, I got some narcoberry seeds and then had the brilliant idea to put them in a small crop plot, thinking this would be enough, but it wasn't. I knew I would need fertilizer as quick as possible, but the only way of how I could get that pretty easily was with a toilet. But for that I need cementing paste, and thus some keratin. And just to be safe and hopefully keep the seeds, I made a preserving bin. I even tried to look for some red drops, if they didn't disappear on me.
No! Shit, that shit just disappeared!
For some potential loot I could grind in the upgrade station to get chitin or cementing paste out of that. To even reach the body safely, I had to lure these fellas into the water and get rid of them. A bit later I saw a purple loot drop with a ring around it, which means it could have some nice stuff in it. So I had the goal to get there, but to do that I had to climb and sneak past these freezing giants. One wrong step and they would freeze me solid, and my fragile character can't handle that. I did reach the drop only to get greeted with disappointment. After this I went back to my island and decided to finally upgrade my raft. So I removed everything from it, placed down stone foundations. It didn't have to look good, but be efficient. Once I was done, I placed everything back onto it, including a fabricator, and grinded everything I got from this yellow drop. Which would allow me to finally craft a toilet. The new problem that I had to face now though was the fact that this game is very well made, and placing a simple toilet down was more complicated and difficult than that one math exam we all know. So I simply made an elevated toilet, but then I needed new narcoberry seeds since the old ones spoiled. I had the pleasure to play the game called I'm holding down E for 15 minutes straight. Oh my god! Oh! You see that it works? Yelling at the screen always works, guys. Also, my chainsaw's durability was looking a bit rough, so I headed into the ocean to gather some pearls for electronics. And after that, I experienced the biggest shitstorm in my life. I don't know why they call this a restroom. I was fighting for my dear life in there. Bro, why is my character shitting so much? Like, dude, calm down! I have enough fertilizer! Insert Taco Bell meme right here, like, straight up. At last I had enough fertilizer to last a whole year. I did use some of that paste to make 3 greenhouse structures to boost my narcoberry production. Again, it didn't look good, but it worked. Also, whilst I was looking for some more turtles, I found this red drop with a flamethrower inside. You already know what I did with it. Now for the next part I had to level up to reach the level required to make a saddle for the soul of the second lieutenant. So I just crafted narcotics, killed way too many titans, and sat on the toilet for roughly 6 hours or so. And for you maybe 2 minutes of entertainment. At one point I went back into the white cliffs and secured the section with the element crystals together, all of them, just to be safe. And no, I'm not using the element shards I collected, because the amount required to tame one is stupid. Yes, this is intended. Have fun feeding one like 20,000 shards. But now, back to the killing montage, please. After exterminating way too many of these guys, I eventually reached level 105. Now the saddle is unlocked at level 110, which is only reachable through two main methods. Either with the help of a chibi and killing alphas, or an ascension, neither of which I can do on this map. There's a severe lack of alphas and overseers over here. So I've been thinking a lot, and in the end I simply had to do it this way. You can call it cheating, but regardless I would have to make alpha spawn in order to reach that level. Also, if I sound a bit funny at this point of the video, that's because I got sick whilst working on it. I'm sorry, but something like that won't keep me from making content for you guys. Now that I reached the required level for the saddle, there was just one thing I wanted to do before anything else. You see, my climbing pick wasn't looking too good. So I went into the Emerald Forest again to gather some green gems, but mainly fungal wood. The way out was a bit more difficult than last time, cause this bozo right here had to block the entire pathway. Oh my god, dude. Really? Okay. But after some back and forth, I made it outside once again. Alright, thank you, man. And also f*** you. And repaired my picks. Next up, I had to get some black pearls for the saddle. Yeah, I rather have that before taming one. Now, black pearls are rather easy to come by because they are in the underground ocean. So I grabbed my scuba tanks, flippers, and true mentor who helps me all the time.
Ah, you were at my side all along.
Chair. Pearls were just all around this giant gorge in the sea floor, so I picked up as many as I could find and went back to my raft. The next day I crafted some needed trank arrows to find a new friend. And after dealing with some of the unworthy ones, I settled for this level 108. Remember this? Why don't you just lure them into the water and let them drown? These things don't have an oxygen stat. There is a complete lack of air in their lungs, so they cannot drown. Which meant the best method to tame them was to lure them into the ocean and knock them out there. Luckily they eat pretty darn fast. Tamed them up and these guys have a plethora of moves. A simple punch, a bloody claw swipe, a double punch to harvest metal, a headbutt to gather stone and wood, a frost breath, this insane leap, and a roar. Also I named this guy Snowflake. With him on my side, we could simply freeze our enemies and bleed them dry before they do that to me. Regardless, I wouldn't have to worry about much unless I get jumped by like 5 of these guys at once. Next up, after making even more trank arrows, I choose to tame this decent level female for Snowflake and use the exact method to knock her out. Back on my island, I placed down a hitching post to start with some breeding. Now, by default, these guys cannot breed, therefore they have very high stat scaling, but to change that, I simply used the Dynafix potion mod, which makes them breedable. But apparently it also changes their gender because Snowflake gave birth. Anyway, I guess I figured why these guys can't breed by default. Look at this. Goddamn polygon titans. Snap in and out of existence. Also, the babies you see here had all the good stats I wanted. And whilst these fellas were growing up, Snowflake and I secured some shores to gather some more carrot. So I could make some mending paste and finally make a nanny, which would take care of the babies and give them imprints. But she needs power from a generator, so I took care of that as well. With the babies fully matured, I used the Dynafix potion to fix them up and let them breed as well. Whilst they were doing the dirty work, I gathered some more metal here and there and also made a soul terminal, which will pick up all the newborn babies. And named one of the babies Bumbaro. I then realized that one setting on my server was wrong. This is why it took them so long to breed again. Also, if you want to host your own GPortal server, you can get 5% off order if you use my link in the description below. Anyway, whilst Bumbaro was growing up, Snowflake and I made our dangerous journey towards the Ice Wyvern Trench to get the artifact of the Skylord. It was actually really easy getting through the ice biome on one of these guys, since I would simply spam the jump or simply run past all the danger, since they took ages to react to me. Now it would have been a lot more relaxing. A snowflake here didn't took a shit every 5 steps. Anyway, we eventually made it past the danger and to the ice wyvern scar. There I soulballed Snowflake and flew down into the volcanic depths of this trench. I was greeted by a few too many titans down there, but with no casualties I managed to grab the very important Skylord artifact. Now getting out was the hard part. You see, even with my ghillie armor I was still losing health rather fast cause of the heat. But I could easily brush it off with the help of Snowflake thanks to his installation buff, which allowed me to heal a bit as well. Okay, it's not super hot over here, so that's very good. So I'm not actually just melting in my goddamn boots. Come on, just a bit more, because I think, I do not know, there might be a second way out of here. Okay, we came from there. Like, is there like a second way out of here? Because I have not really played on this map for so long. So we're gonna find out. And after luring some titans into the pits and sneaking past the rest, I managed to get out and slowly but surely made it back home to safety. My little baby boy Bambaro was finally fully matured, and even with just his imprint boost, he hit a good chunk harder than his grandfather. And after just a little patrol, I eventually found this almost max level female with insane damage. However, the torpor to health ratio was horrible. There is no way I could knock her out with trank arrows. Before that though, I casually made it towards the white cliffs once again to harvest some more element for the lady. And there I also found this dude with 40 points into HP. Oh god, look at that health stat. Oh nah, I gonna keep you alive, dude. Like, this is ridiculous. The titans already spawn at high levels pretty frequently, but this is a whole new level. Anyway, back at home, I used all the smelted metal to craft and upgrade a long neck. Yes, I forgot about the Mastercraft blueprint I had, but that's beside the point. After I made enough trank darts, I went back to that 174 female, and the plan was to shoot her, swim away and shoot again, but that didn't work as planned. Her torpor simply drained too fast. So I had the idea to build a simple trap. Back to base we go together and then craft some behemoth gates. I effortlessly managed to get her inside this ugly triangle and just performed some much weaker exterminatus upon thy colossus. The good thing about placing the trap in water was that they cannot use their heaviest attacks. Once knocked out cold, I gave her some of that sweet stuff and she tamed up rather quickly. Before going back home though, I repaired my trap and picked it all up for later use. The next step was to tame that one male with insane HP. I know I could just tame a female with good health and use the Dynafix potion to change him, but out of pure fairness and nostalgia, I wanted to tame that male. Problem was though, that he was gone. No trace of him, no nothing. So instead I jumped around the shores to find a potential replacement. And I did find this pretty good 162 male, placed the trap again and got him in. And used the same method as before. But this is Ark of course, and we can't have nice things. For some reason the darts would get stuck on the gates, although they weren't even near the damn beacon of the gate.
This is the most obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
In general, knocking this one out was annoying as hell. I walked in there with like 130 darts and left with 6, because they either got stuck or wouldn't count. Despite these struggles that no member of mankind could comprehend, I still managed to knock him out. Oh my god, this was so annoying. Honestly, I should have placed some pillars in here. Oh my god, that health! 50 points into health! And back at base, hooked him up with his new girl. After letting the high-level pair breed for a little while, I finally got a male and female with the same stats. Again, I'm only doing it the traditional way, to keep it a bit more fair, I guess. Whilst they were growing up, my boy Banbaro and I jumped towards the green obelisk, mainly because I was curious and wanted to check something. And it turns out I didn't even need all the artifacts this map has to offer, meaning it was unnecessary to grab the Skylord artifact. So instead I prepared to grab the artifact of the Gatekeeper. Only problem was, this one was in the radiation zone of the Aberrant Underground. I would need a hazard suit to get that one, but for that I need gas balls, and to get those I need red gems. So I grabbed all of the other materials for a gas collector, a second smithy and some sleeping bags, and made my way down again. There I placed the smithy down and my sleeping bags, put my other not needed stuff away and rushed to the red gems. My body got fried by the radiation like I was next to Godzilla's atomic breath. I died twice, but managed to get enough gems to make a gas collector and placed it down. I did a small meat run just to be safe, and while the good stat ice titans were breeding and the gas collector did his job, I jumped on Banbaro and tried to make my way to the artifact of the crack. After doing some jumpin' jacks around the cliffs and mountains, I got near the cave entrance, but this place was way too clustered. And after enraging every fella under the damn sun, we went to a safe spot, and there I soulballed Banbaro and glided straight into the cave. There I stumbled upon some lovely crates, which I only opened so I could grind the stuff, grabbed the artifact and this dope skin, and noticed that these crates respawn rather quickly. So I grabbed more grindable loot and climbed back out of the cave just to glide back home. I told you the glide suit was worth it, which is funny how some people think it's useless on any other map but Aberration. Next up was the Destroyer artifact, which meant I had to go all the way to the other side of the map. Once near the artifact location, I kept on climbing until I finally reached it. I felt like Kratos when he seeked the destruction of Olympus. Now with one more artifact in my possession, I had to wait for the rain to stop, cause I couldn't really see much on top of this stone pillar. Once the rain stopped, I looked for the entrance to the Brood artifact cave, which I completely forgot where it was, so I had to look up coordinates. Now this place was a bit too heavily guarded by Titans, but I managed to aggro pretty much all of them and lure them down the cliff, which allowed me to easily enter the dungeon, jump down and grab the artifact of the Brood. Getting out was pretty easy, but the durability of my picks might want to say something about that. Regardless, I got out and glided back home to place the artifacts. I went for another run on my local metal mountain, cause I knew I would need metal ingots to craft and upgrade the saddles for my future army. After that I grabbed all the needed items for the hazard suit and got back down underground for the last time. At my gas collector I got hit with a stupid amount of gas balls, which allowed me to craft a full set of hazard gear, or so I thought, cause I have the brain of a kiwi bird and didn't broad enough. Now I could have made a bed and done a quick little death run to get some blue gems, but I went towards the little construct I've made and got the last remaining blue gems. Once I was equipped, like I was about to go on a Comic-Con, we jumped into this gorge and got the artifact of the Gatekeeper. And yes, Soul of the Second Lieutenant is immune to radiation, funny enough. Also, I didn't even know that, but just like Aberration, every harvestable rock here gives huge amounts of metal. And from there on, not much was really left to do. Well, besides raising the army, gathering food for them, as well as some tinto berries for at least a few health potions just to be safe, and diving back into the underground ocean for the black pearls to craft saddles, so they have at least some armor. Now the only thing left was to level my army and rename all of them after some of you guys. So here you go. Oh, and I also finally decided to make myself a good set of flag. At long last, it was about time. So I grabbed the artifacts and made my way to the green obelisk once more. There I spawned in the required apex drops and activated the alpha boss summon. Once in there, I wasted no time and threw out as many as I could before the dragon got too close, so I whistled my army to attack. I was mainly worried about him because of his fire breath, but luckily my Titan's lead attack worked on him. With the dragon down, the Manticore was up next, and as always he got this strong damage resistance and torpor-inducing attacks, but that meant nothing for my army. But this flying cat was smart, luring my Titans closer to the Megapithecus to attack. But even under these odds, the Manticore fell shortly after, and now the monkey felt my Titan's unending wrath. With that, the fight was over with no casualties. Thank you to everyone for watching, I hope you enjoyed this. Consider to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.